everybody. This is Beth and Seth from Seth and Beth Wedding Photography.
Join us on our next podcast where we talk about the topic of...
No wedding planner?
No problem.
See?
If you don't want or don't need or not a fan of having a wedding planner and you want to plan your wedding yourself, Beth and I use our 10 years of knowledge to teach you some ins and outs about what you need to know from your vendors, from your family, how everyone can help to get your wedding done on the next Seth and Beth podcast.
It's a really great podcast. Check it out.
On YouTube. Thanks, guys. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Seth and Beth podcast. This is Beth.
Hi, I'm Beth. This is Sethy.
I said I'm Beth.
Oh, I'm Beth. This is Seth.
That's correct. Thank you for joining us on YouTube. Feel free to like and subscribe down below if you want to hear more of us. Beth, we started this podcast many, many moons ago.
Yeah.
I never thought we'd get this many episodes.
No, this is great.
Really, we do this to give insight to people who are potentially getting married, people who might want to hire us for headshots, for family photos, for real estate photos,
Advertising.
Advertising, promotional videos, everything we're into. We really want to give you some insight as to who we are, what we do, how we interact, the type of real, authentic people we try and be in this world. And the podcast has done a lot of great things for us. I think when we first started, we thought this was all about us. I did. It was more of like, let's show off us a bit. And we do have a wealth of knowledge in this industry in terms of weddings, photographing them, and other aspects. But we've really gained a lot of traction with the networking and working with people and becoming trusted adversaries for venues, for clients, for other vendors. And it's just been wonderful. What has this journey meant to you in the past year?
Well, I do like having this time with you, honey. I do like that. But I also, on top of that, I do love, it occurred to me that we do have a wealth of knowledge, and I love helping people through our experiences and our time doing photography. So whether it would be, picking a florist or advice on a timeline or helping, with all of that kind of stuff, I like knowing that my experience can help people out there and make their life easier and less stressful.
So along those lines, we wanted to sort of the subject line of this podcast is no wedding planner, no problem.
Right.
And so how many weddings so out of the 15 weddings that we do, how many typically have wedding planners nowadays?
Maybe a third of them.
A third of them. I think that's a good too.
A hired wedding planner.
And then what kind of clients do you think hire a wedding planner to help them? What are clients looking for when they hire them?
Well, everyone just has their own. Maybe your profession, like for instance, a doctor, means that you work 14 hours a day. And you just don't have time to do the research to figure out who are the best florists and the best photographers for my event. So maybe it's your profession and you just have a lack of time, or
for me, it would probably be the organization. That
was the next thing I was going to say too. Like maybe like you just know yourself, and on a wedding day, you can't figure out who's going to drop off the centerpieces and make sure they're okay. And you're just not good at timelines. And you just need a professional to help you make sure that everything is coordinated on the day. So maybe that's why you do need a coordinator. But on the same thing, maybe you're really good at that. Mm-hmm. So maybe you're like, I love coordinating. For a job, I'm a project planner.
Project manager, sure.
I can do that. Well, then maybe you don't need the coordinator. So that's why this podcast might be perfect for you. You just need like, well, what sort of things would I have to plan, or what sort of things should I be looking for? So I'm not going to get a wedding planner. Mm-hmm. So here we go. So
What are some top tips that you can think a potential couple needs to be thinking about if they don't want to hire a planner? What are some things that can help them along the way get the wedding process going?
Well, you do need to think about all your vendors. You want to pick the right vendors for you. You want to make sure that your vendors have the experience and that they really are professionals. You know, like your photographer, even if you aren't choosing us as your photographer, but whoever this person is, you want to make sure that they aren't, you know, maybe like an inexperienced photographer that
looking to build their portfolio,
or they don't have the right gear, or they don't know that they should download all their images right after. You just have to make sure that you're asking all these right questions. So anyways, what I'm saying is you have to make sure that you are hiring the right vendors for you. So like I made a quick little list of different vendors, and maybe we can
Let's
just
talk about them. Sure.
Okay, I love that.
I mean, we can start with photography. So what I tell people is Beth and I are not 26-year-old kids coming out of art school looking to expand our portfolio. So we are not cheap. We are highly experienced. Basically, I would consider ourselves master levels. And so with that comes the idea that we've just seen all of the crazy stuff that might actually happen on your wedding day. We've seen it. We've gone through it. We're sort of tested by fire, forged in fire of the flowers aren't on time. The DJ's messing up. The DJ has to go buy beer for mom. That happened. Someone asked Beth and I if we could also take photos and introduce, be the MC of the event. The bride's dress needs tied, which I'm great at. Marty and Haley's wedding, where I tied 13 bow ties. We've seen these things. So if you're not going to hire us, that's fine. We can certainly point you toward a bunch of really great professionals all across the nation. But I think what I now know after 200 weddings in 10 years is the experience of remaining calm, cool, collected, and being a beacon of light and hope during some crazy things that can happen on your wedding day.
Right.
You may not get that if you don't
the florist is 2 hours late. I know that I'm not going to be thinking about that florist, and I've got the whole picture, and how am I going to help you through this to make sure that like we still are getting these awesome photos, even though the flowers aren't here right now.
Talk about flowers. What would you suggest if you're not getting a wedding planner? How would a wedding couple go about finding a really great florist?
Well, there's some questions that I would just be asking the florist. Like, for instance, I know through our experience, like wedding flowers, when they are first delivered and then at the end of the day, they can look very different.
Things, yeah.
You know, like your wedding bouquet can actually fall apart and you're trying to like shove flowers back in, or maybe the flowers that you've chosen they are almost dead and you haven't even left the hotel room yet. It's so hot outside. So you want a florist that knows flowers and they know how to make bouquet arrangements that will last not just, you know, in air conditioning, but during your outdoor wedding and for an entire day. So you want a florist that you want to be talking about budget, because you know, the same flowers that you've been envisioning your whole life in your bouquet, they might not be in season, and you might be paying 7 times the amount you would if they were in season.
It's always the peonies, right, Beth? It's always the peonies.
And they're so beautiful, too. I know, the peonies. I talk about it all the time. But but these are the kind of questions that you want to be asking your florist. Like, well, if I can't get that flower that I've always envisioned, what are some other options that I can? But you do want to make sure that you are reading the reviews and maybe even ask for a referral. Like, can I call somebody and talk to a former bride about their experience with you? But you do want to be reading the reviews, because those are from real people and real experiences.
Wouldn't you say that the DJ, like a great photographer, plays an important role on your day?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
And again, we have just seen it all, folks. And sometimes I'm frankly just shocked at what I see in terms of a DJ being an MC, controlling the day, and really sometimes I'm just shocked at the level of uncontrol they may have.
I would always go back and listen to this podcast that we did with DJ Mike Access, like
Mike Salone, DJ Access.
DJ Access. Okay, so in that podcast, I know it's going to take you, that's the research that you need to be doing. You need to listen to that podcast because he's going to tell you everything that he does as a real professional to make sure if something does happen, because things happen. Like we've been to a wedding where the electricity goes out.
Microphones go out.
What is a DJ going to do? Maybe
out.
It's an outdoor wedding and it's just horizontal rain the whole time. So what does the DJ do to make sure that the music doesn't go out and the mics don't go out? Listen to that podcast. This is a man who does everything in his power to make sure that everything, and it's little things that he does as well, Seth. Like, I don't remember if you remember the part of the podcast where he's like, I'm about to start toast, I know all the key players on a wedding day. I know who your mom is. I know who your fiance's mom is. I know the key players, and I look for them to make sure they're in the room before I start because I know that those toasts are important to all of these people, even if they're not making the toast.
In a room of 300 people, when the DJ says we're going to have a toast by the bride's dad, I just know that he hasn't taken the time to learn his name, to introduce him. And it's all out there. It's just the little itty bitty steps. Beth, it comes down to even making sure your DJ has the right, maybe profane or non-profane music, which we went through recently.
Yeah.
Right. The couple was able to laugh about it, but they kissed. They were in the chapel, and they play a song, and the third word out of the song was the loudest F-bomb in front of grandmas and children's. The entire room gasped, and they laughed it off because they're a fun couple. But the DJ said, "Hey, that's what they told me to play," and I know if they had a chance. If they had a certain discussion with this DJ, they probably didn't want to play that song.
If my man DJ Access if he was there, he would have had the conversation with the couple.
Yeah.
Which song do you want? You want the E version or not? He would have, and if you want the E version, then he's,
Yeah.
But
a lot of this takes work, though, Beth. I guess if you're not going to hire a planner, you do have a little bit of work to do. You have some research to do,
right?
And so what's another vendor you think that we could discuss?
Like,
oh, I know one, Beth. Sometimes just getting your. Do you want to cut me off? Or?
Yeah, kinda.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the venue that you choose for your reception or for your whole wedding day, if you're having ceremony there too, many have a day of coordinator, and that day of coordinator is awesome. In a lot of these venues, the coordinators are so hands-on, they kind of like a wedding coordinator. So
planner, you mean? You're kind of like a planner.
A planner. So you do want to talk to these venues and talk to those day of coordinators to see what level you are receiving. So like, how hands-on are they? How much are they going to be helping you with? No matter what that is. Like, some people want more hands-on, some people don't. Whatever level you're comfortable with, you want to be talking to these day of coordinators about the experience they're going to be giving as well.
This is important. We have there are coordinators at sites, specifically, like I'm thinking like the Athletic Club, the Westin in Columbus. Some of these places are absolutely incredible. You'd think it's their wedding planner, but we've also been to weddings, some interesting venues where they have so little day of coordination that you and I, during toasts by dad, are helping fiddle with microphones in audio closets because no one is there to help this.
And that is part of the experience. Like, we are going to go over the timeline with you. We are going to help you in creating an awesome timeline for your wedding day, because I know that it may be your first wedding that you've been a part of. Seth and I have had the privilege of being a part of so many weddings that we've been able to foresee some of these problems in your timeline that you might not know about. Like, for instance, like after the ceremony, you want to give about 10 to 15 minutes for yourself to hug your family members. You don't want to plan the family session, the family photos on the altar the second after you walk down the aisle, because that's not actually what happens.
And this is we could do a whole podcast on timeline. That should probably be the next one. But regardless, like, a great photographer, a great DJ can really assist you with developing a timeline that leaves room for maybe a little bit of error and allows for a little more happier feelings on the day if it strays a bit. And so that's definitely a part of it. I mean, obviously photographer is really huge because we spend the whole day with you, literally almost every second with you. There are very few times we don't see each other. The DJ is really the one that's going to control, drive, and keep the enthusiasm up in your reception. So what other vendors can we talk about? Because I was just thinking, Beth, while you look, how often is there a delay in getting ready because our brides and their parents or sisters simply don't know how to put the dress on? We've had weddings where they're literally firing up YouTube because they haven't been able to string up the back of the dress. That's sort of a gal thing. So what tips do you have for someone who's getting a dress? What may they not know on the wedding day that can cause
so when you go to the wedding dress shop and you do your like final dress fitting, there's going to be somebody there that will show you how to lace up the dress, the right way to put it on. Get out your phone and record all of that. Even getting in the dress. I know you think like you just get in that dress. Every dress is different. So when you're there, I want you to think about like, how are you going to have your hair and how are you going to have your makeup? And can you get in the dress with your hair done that certain way there? And then have somebody just record you getting in the dress. So then when you have 1,000 things on your mind on the wedding day and you're trying to get in your dress and it's not this calm environment like the wedding dress shop, that you're like, just a quick reminder, like, okay, this is exactly how we did it. Let's do it. And then you hear the wedding dress coordinator giving you the step-by-step directions on the phone as well. Same thing with the lace-up on the back. Because, like, I mean, I know Seth said, like, he's really good at lacing up the dresses. He really is. He really, really is good at it because he has done it many times. But if you don't want Seth to do it, then just get out your phone and record the wedding dress specialist at your shop giving you the directions on how to do it. So then we can replay that back and you have that.
So Beth, with all that said, sort of in closing, what I really try to educate clients when they're getting married is if you're not going to have a planner that you're probably going to pay a good amount of money to help you get this process done, if you're looking to save funds, you most likely need to transfer that into some very highly coordinated and experienced vendors, like a great photographer who's seen everything, like a great DJ who's seen everything, like a great florist. All of these vendors, with this experience that they're going to provide and the experience they have in general, they're probably going to have a higher price tag. And I think we've just seen it all too often where I think sadly we've seen some unfortunate events happen at weddings directly because not of a planner, just of a kind of hiring a bad vendor. Like a DJ whose mics are cutting out while your dad's trying to toast, a videographer that keeps pushing shots on you that you don't want, and so I know that there's some back-end coordination to a wedding that involves a lot of emailing and planning and tying bows on favors, and it's a lot. And if it feels overwhelming, I would think that you would need to ask as many people that you've hired for help, that wedding coordinator, that photographer, that DJ, to help push along whether you need timeline help.
And pick the people in your life that can help you, that have some of these skills. So like, maybe organization isn't for you, but maybe you have a really good friend or a really great family member that is ultra organized and that can help you with all of that. Even things like like the gifts and the favors Seth's talking about. So if you are making some gifts, and well, who are going to be the people that transport these? Who are the people that are going to bring the gifts home? Who are the people that are going to make sure that at the end of the day, my husband and I, or my wife and I, can now leave and somebody is here. These people are here to help me make sure that this venue is cleaned up properly. Because with your organization and your forethought in doing that, now you can leave when the reception is over and you're not the one that's picking up the venue.
That is true, Beth. We have seen that. And we had a funny event for our wedding. In closing, we had a pretty wild wedding in 2003. We were all young. There was lots of dancing. We ended the wedding early.
We were like the first ones to be married out
yes,
of all of our friends.
So we had a live band. It ended at 10 o'clock. They had to kick 120 people off the dance floor. I mean,
they had to like turn on the lights
and like, it's
we're not
over.
playing any more music. You have to
it.
go home now.
And so it was just a wild night. Beth and I leave, and we sort of meet up for breakfast with our family, and we get a call from the venue that someone has stolen about a 6-foot topiary. It's like a potted plant with a long stick, and the top is like a hedge-like ball, like an enormous beach ball that's shaped in hedges that was fake, and that they're going to invoice us for this topiary, Beth.
Hundreds of dollars.
Now, Beth's dad...
In 2003, that was like thousands of dollars.
And Beth's dad was kind enough to sort of pay for most of the wedding and head up the topiary dilemma. And he sort of said to us, like, do you have any friends that you might think might have any insight on where this topiary might be? And I was like, you know what? Somebody that might be pretty helpful, I know of him, is Dave. Let me call Dave and see what the heck happened. And it only took a couple sentences of be like, Dave, do you have the topiary? Yes, I do have the topiary. So Dave had a lot of alcohol. For some reason, he decided on his way out to just grab the topiary. So luckily, it was in his car, and we got the topiary back. So to this day, Topiary Dave is very famous for our wedding. But that has nothing to do with the podcast topic, Beth, but that's a very funny aspect of our life. But what is funny about this, what does have to do with this is in closing, like if you don't want a planner, you have a little more work to do. If you do want a planner, we have a bunch of great references and names that can help. And
what I've learned is if at any point in your wedding planning process that you decide, I've made a mistake, I think I do need a planner, there are so many planners that have different types of packages. Like if you realize like this is really taking a toll on my mom and myself and our relationship, then just spend the money to get one of these coordinators. I mean, there's just so many great people. Definitely reach out to me. I would love to help you and refer you to some great planners. There's so many that at any point they can just take over.
Your wedding.
They can pick, even if it's for the day of
coordination,
where you're like, I do need somebody to just make sure that it all happens on the day because I'm going to be doing this and my mom's going to be doing this and we got this family in town and there's the brunch and there are so many different packages. I didn't know that a wedding planner isn't just like a person will just do it all for you. There's different options. So if at any point where you're like, I've made a wrong choice, like I do need a planner, call me. Call me, 330-322-3556, and I will refer you to some incredible people out there.
Can you imagine the amount of spam calls we're going to get because you just gave out our phone call? I'm kidding.
I can't wait. I want to talk to all of you all out there.
Follow us, the Seth and Beth duo, sethandbeth.com. That's A-N-D. And how many questions do we get about the A-N-D? It's A-N-D. You cannot put an ampersand in your website browser. It's not possible. So it's Seth and Beth is our beautiful new website. Please like and subscribe our channel here on the Seth and Beth podcast on YouTube.
I have mad love for all of you out there and for you, honey. I like your boomerang shirt.
Beth, thank you for your insight today. You're a specialist at this, and your knowledge is just wonderful. Thanks for joining us.
Love you.
SethandBeth.com. Love you guys.